Hey everyone, today we're doing a little melt and pour tutorial. I'm going to use my cube tray and we're going to see a little experiment to see what flowers mold in soap. If you have any guesses or you know anything, go ahead and leave comments down below. I don't care. This is all for learning purposes, and I ordered a kit from Brambleberry because it had a lot of different type of flowers in it, so I thought that would be a good thing to experiment with. I already also had some other flowers that I thought would be good to kind of put in here as well. And some of them I already had the same things in a bigger bulk, but like, what do you call it? You know, just sitting aside. So I didn't want to open up some of the Brambleberry ones because I was going to save them for another project. So like the rose petals, they give you several different colors from Brambleberry. I just picked one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a control side and then a side that I leave out and see what molds. So I'm going to pour all the soap into these, and I'm going to kind of set the control side is going to go in little Ziploc baggies when I'm done pouring everything and after I take it out of the mold, and we're going to leave those aside. And then the other side, we are going to kind of just let it sit out in the environment for a couple weeks, see if any of it starts molding, and then if it doesn't show any signs of mold, I'm going to take them into the bathtub, the shower, the sink somewhere. I'm going to use them, all of them, and then I'm going to let them sit out, out on the counter or something and see if the mold starts appearing, how long it takes. So it's going to be a fun little experiment. Like I said, if you guys have experienced this, I don't care. Go ahead, leave comments down below. Have you used anything else that I'm not using in the video? Or is there any other types of videos that you want to see if the ingredients will melt or mold in melt and pour soap? So like I was saying before, I want to keep everything super clean, so I'm trying to use my glove to make sure that I don't, cross-contaminate anything or whatever you may have. I also spritzed everything down with rubbing alcohol to kind of sterilize everything and whatnot. But I'm just going to put a little bit in each container or a little compartment so we have enough to see how it goes. And I'm just going to also fill them up with just enough soap base. I'm not going to try to waste a lot of soap here because this is just an experiment. And this is just a close-up shot so you could see about how much of each that I put in the cavities so you have an idea. And I'm going to go ahead and show a shot and show what everything is called in case you're wondering. Okay guys, I went ahead and I cut down the white soap base. I am just using Wholesale Supplies Plus or Crafter's Choice white melt and pour soap base. I thought the reason to use this, it will be the easiest to show any kind of mold, because a lot of mold and melt and pour soap actually kind of just discolors. And when we get the results for these, I'll kind of show you guys that so you have an idea or know what's going on. I again spritzed my soap down with rubbing alcohol. This is just something that I do out of habit. Again, it's kind of keeping everything clean. It makes it easier when the soap, kind of adheres to the natural ingredients. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that poured for you guys, and then I'm going to let it sit up for about 2 to 3 hours. Alright guys, it's later in the day. These have been sitting for a few hours, and I'm just going to pop them out of the mold and put them into little plastic baggies that I already have marked. I kind of wanted it to mimic like if you were to make the soap and then immediately wrap it up after you have made the soap, so you would get an idea of what it would look like, because I was wondering, if you went ahead and wrapped the soap and then they were sitting on a shelf and they're not molding, you may still be able to sell them. That is kind of, your own thing, or maybe preserve the life a little bit longer. Totally up to you. And then I went ahead and after I got all these popped out of the mold, I went ahead and took the other ones out, and I kind of just popped those out and set them on a plate. I'm going to leave them on my counter, and I'm going to see how long it takes for some of these to start getting mold. And I'm going to try to keep track of it as best as I can for you guys. And the other ones I'm going to just leave in their little plastic baggies right next to the plate, so that way you know, they have a similar type environment to give us the best results to see, you know, what's going on with this. So I did let those go ahead and sit for about 2 weeks, and some of the soaps I started noticing mold on them much quicker than others. The hibiscus soap honestly had mold after about 1 day of sitting out on the counter, and then you can see the rose is starting to mold. I'll show you guys the ones in the packages as well so you can see what's going on. There's a little bit with the lavender, but not as much as I'd like to see yet. And then you can see some of the other ones. There's not a lot of mold yet, but there is some like discoloration. And some of these, like the flowers, are not affecting it at all negatively. So I would say that they're safe to use in soap. I'm going to go ahead and just show these off to you really quick. And then the ones that are on the plate, I'm going to go ahead and use them in water and then let them sit out for about another week or two and see how the mold progresses. So again, these are just the ones that are in the little baggies, and you can see like the jasmine, it looks like it's starting to mold even quicker. And when I show the rose one as well, it also looked like to me that it was starting to mold much quicker. So some of these, like I said, are just discoloration, and I will put at the end which ones are actually safe to use in soap based on what I know from manufacturers and the ones that I haven't had issues. I believe the Safflower is okay. It just starts to kind of discolor and do funky things. So that's something you want to keep in mind when you're designing your soaps with botanicals and things like that. Not everything can go into melt and pour soap. And again, here is the rose. It's getting really brown in the baggie. So I don't know like if you would actually wrap it up, if it's going to make that go faster. I didn't see as much mold on the hibiscus one, but it did discolor quite a bit, and I know since it's a tea, it'll probably bleed when you use it. So I just wanted to show the rose side by side. As you can see, the one in the bag is getting actually a little bit moldier quicker. So the next day I decided to take this test a little bit further, and I got the soaps wet under very hot water and kind of just scrubbed them a little bit to bring the botanicals or whatever we put into the soap to the surface to make sure that that part of the soap was getting wet. I wasn't overly concerned about cross-contamination or keeping everything clean, and I'm going to keep them on the same plate because you have to think about your customers. What are they doing with their soap when they get home? They are probably just putting it in the bathroom or on the sink and somewhere, and there's all kinds of bacteria surrounding it. But I'm going to keep them on the plate and put them in a dark closet for about 4 months total, and we'll see what happens when we're done. Hey guys, it's been just a little over 4 months, and I pulled the soaps out of my dark, gross closet. It's not really gross, it's just got a lot of soap stuff in there. But some of these didn't mold that much. Like the jasmine, I thought didn't mold a lot if it was just being set out. But I've heard not to use it in soap because it does discolor a lot, and I've heard from other soap makers that it does actually mold. So I'm going to mark this one as a definitely molds. The calendula, I would say, came out okay. I know this one by many soapers has been said to be one that you actually can use in melt and pour. It will discolor a little bit, but not a ton, so you do want to keep that in mind. I felt like the ones in the bag actually discolored more. So if you're able to leave your soaps unwrapped, depending on where you live, that might be something you want to do. This, however, surprised me the most. The sea kelp granules, you can't see it a lot on this one, but wait till we get to the one on the bag. This is actually something I bought for a Wholesale Supplies Plus melt and pour kit, and they tell you to use it, and I've made soap this way before. However, I never noticed any mold in my own shower, but when I did this test, the sea kelp definitely had mold on it, and it was gross. This is the saffron. Again, a lot of discoloration. Soapers have definitely said it molds over time, so maybe we just need to leave it out a little bit longer. The rose I thought was getting super nasty, especially on the one that was used and left out. You could actually, I don't know if the camera picked it up, but you could actually start to see it. What else do we have? Yeah, so the lavender definitely does mold as well. You do notice it a little bit more in the baggie than you do on the actual soap. But I think it just kind of depends on how long it's been sitting out, what type of lavender buds you have and all that, because I have seen this go really rancid really quick. So definitely don't use that as well. The hibiscus, again, it didn't have much growth since the last time we saw it, but the one in the bag is turning into probably hibiscus tea. I don't know. It just looks gross. And the last one we have is Cornflower. I know for many soapers that this one is actually safe, and as you can tell from all the soaps that we've made, this one has the least discoloration. So if you guys like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe.